strength and our real focus is a great story. And so it's not just the story, of course, it's the delivery mechanism for the story and all the technology that allows you to experience it.
The interactive conversation system, the biggest thing we were trying to go for in this game was taking away that continual pause. And we are achieving, basically we do have like a real-time conversation, and that's really the key, is that it's a real-time conversation that you're inputting into.
Telling a good story in a game goes far beyond the writing. It involves all elements of the package working together. You want the gameplay, you want the graphics, you want the writing. It all has to meld together.
It's all about creating emotional bonds and ties between you as a player and the characters that are in the game. And we've done that through really focusing on every last detail. Like the team has left no stone unturned trying to pursue this, the pinnacle of characters, of making incredibly realistic characters that allow you to feel immersed in a storyline. The storyline is epic as well. Basically it's a path throughout the whole, you get to explore the entire galaxy. So it's a grand tale. You're the tip of the spear of humanity on the galactic stage, and the characters you're interacting with are just as grand in their own right.
Working with Casey and Preston and some of the other leads, we come up with the overall story for Mass Effect. We get an idea of what kind of things we want to focus on, what elements we want in our science fiction IP, and then I would go away and come up with a very broad sort of short version of the story and bring it back, and then we would sort of iterate on that until we came up with something we're all happy with.
You know, we can't talk about Mass Effect, not talk about the digital actors and the conversations. I mean, the digital actors are truly incredible, just really the most lifelike characters we've ever had in a game, and you know, almost anyone else in that. It's you know, they really seem like they're there, and you're watching them and interacting with them, and it's real personalities. And the way you converse with them, again, we talked about is you know, different and new. It's this great flowing system where you choose emotions rather than really explicitly saying, you know, reading lines and re-expressing lines.
We want the story and the voice to be as interesting and as interactive as the rest of the game itself. And to do that, we came up with a new interface for you to interact with conversation.
In Mass Effect, you actually talk with the characters you meet. To do that, we didn't want you to just be reading an answer, picking it, and then hearing what you had just read in your mind spoken on screen. That kind of breaks up the flow. It doesn't really draw you in. So we've come up with a new dialogue system that allows you to make sort of emotional and instinctive responses, yet still control the conversation. So what I've got open right now is the conversations for one of your characters in the game. For Ashley Williams, she's one of the people who can join up with you throughout the game. Every time she says something, you get a chance to say something back. Depending on your reaction, it branches to a different part of the conversation. So as you can see, we quickly, as we add more and more options, get quite a mess of dialogue here. There's pages and pages and pages of this stuff.
Eden Prime is one of our oldest and most successful colonies.
The other interesting thing about Mass Effect that we've done that has sort of pushed us to a whole level, the entire game is fully voice-overed. We've done a lot of voice-over games in the past, but we've never actually had the player speak as well.
I won't be moved by sympathy, no matter who you bring into this confrontation.
On the one hand, you're watching a science fiction movie, and you can actually, with half of your brain, sit back and really enjoy a beautiful looking science fiction movie. But at the same time, you know, in an interactive sense, you realize that you're in control of that character the whole time.
Generally, every project tries to push story-based gameplay, which is how do we tell a really good story, you know, in and amongst the gameplay. And for Mass Effect, we're really trying to push the cinematic aspect. We're trying to push real-time conversation.
Our group is responsible for conversations and cutscenes within the game that focus on the story and bringing out the visual context of the story. And what we do with conversations is we begin with an outline of the conversation that has all the dialogue and the VO. And within this dialogue, we work with the writers to get across what the objective of the conversation is, what type of motivations the character have, and basically what we want to get across in the story.
If you go back as far as Baldur's Gate 2, that game had a very book-like narrative to it. However, what we're trying to achieve in Mass Effect is more of a cinematic narrative. So the need for digital acting has sort of increased like exponentially on this project.
That's sort of the directing style that we go for is realism and natural emotion, and I find that those hooks are that's how you can really draw the audience in.
The character creation system that we're making on Mass Effect is pushing the boundaries of next generation gaming, because we've never had characters this realistic before. We've never had lip sync and facial animation as sophisticated as what we've got now. And we've never had tried to implement a feature of this complexity across an entire universe of characters. We've got literally thousands of characters that have to have performances better than we've ever had before in a game. As generation and generation of games progresses, what we want to do, and as players become more sophisticated, we want them to see the characters becoming angry, see them becoming nervous. A lot of our games involve trying to intimidate other characters. They need to detect whether or not an NPC is lying to them or getting nervous, stuff like that. And we don't want to write that, we want to show it.
We've really tried to concentrate on a lot of details that essentially will maintain the suspension of disbelief. We always took the attitude that rather than adding stuff to make it more next gen and more cool, we wanted to take away from the gaminess of the game, just keep removing things that people expect from a video game. For example, the biggest thing was actually the simplest thing, just turning on the eyes, making sure that characters never have dead eyes that loll around when they're moving their head. We always make them focused, and that's a really simple thing. And additionally, having animations blend smoothly into one another, making sure that you don't see this animation, then that animation. And these are the type of things that I think when games after Mass Effect come out, the players will expect that kind of standard as well.
I think this game has seen more evolution than the previous games that we've worked on, in the sense that we had a good idea of what the end product would look like. But I think this generation in particular has changed so much in what a video game can look like, and the kinds of visual fidelity you can pull off, the kinds of acting that we can get out of our characters, that one thing we weren't able to envision, just because the technology didn't exist 3 years ago, is how far we would have to take every aspect of the game. And so it's, if you can create a photorealistic character or a photorealistic environment, the animations have to be perfect. And if the animations are perfect, then the transitions between the animations have to be perfect. And the physics and everything has to be all to that same level. Otherwise, it's very easy to point out the thing that's not working very well. And so we literally have at least an order of magnitude more complexity in every system. And that's something that you just can't visualize from 3 years out. So it's seen a lot of evolution.
Overall, we're trying to make products which have global appeal. So when we make our games with great story and character, that's a concept that appeals to almost everybody. If you can convey emotion, if you can make someone believe they're talking to a real person, if you can make them care about the people that are in the game that they're talking to, that's a universal concept. And that's one of the things we're really striving for at BioWare.